are live.
Online and user friendly. Well, I have 7 o'clock, so let's just get this meeting rolling. In front of you have an updated agenda.
Move to approve.
Second, all in favor? Okay, no patrons to hear from. Consensus items. Take a few minutes to go over the consensus items. Good.
Flags. I guess we'll see. I guess if it doesn't work, no one gets to watch tonight. So they should come in the meeting. Okay. They just heard me say that.
I didn't see anything on here. Did we already purchase the character stuff?
Yes.
Is it on here or is it gonna be on next month?
As far as to approve.
On expense?
Oh,
Oh,
it's ordered, but I just got the invoice a couple days ago, so.
Okay.
Tanya sent me a link.
and you
to
got the link to get
Yes,
into it.
I haven't looked at it yet, but she did send it to me. And I mean, if anybody wants me to forward it, you guys, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just sent it to the email today.
I'm sure she's gonna look at it. And a reminder on the Waco spike essential.
That is robotics kit that
Robot.
Colin is using in his junior high science classroom, I believe. I think he's been trying to do some after school stuff with it too. Like, Emily Keener's also going to use it in 6th grade. right?
Make a motion to approve the consensus items as presented.
Hope these lawn care come in about what we expected or,
Yeah, I mean, he's charging us what he bid. for
okay,
us.
so we had a bid on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Second, Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consensus items. All in favor? All opposed. Moving on to 5.1. Russell, anything from special education?
No, sir.
Tom, anything from governmental relations?
I do not.
All right, Mr. Flax.
These are not solid numbers, but this is kind of where I'm at with our enrollment numbers as of right today, where I think what should be here Thursday. I say that there's a few that haven't been in to finish their enrollment or that I am expecting, but there's a few that are still showing up on our roster, but I haven't. Anyway, seventh graders, I'm confident of 18, possibly 19. Seventh grade, starting Thursday. Eighth graders, I'm expecting 13. It's dropped a couple from last year. We had a couple of those kids move out. Ninth graders just dropped down to 13. 10th grade's holding steady at 28. The 11th grade, I believe there'll be 27. Might be a question mark on one of them, but I believe there'll be 27. And 12th grade has dropped a couple and down to 18. 31 to 32 junior high and 86 high school.
Was the seventh grade, was that number the same as last year? Sixth grade?
Couple. So they finished the year, well, it might have been same at the beginning. We finished the year at 15, but we lost 2 of them
Okay.
over the summer, and we lost 2 out of the 9th grade. Lost 3 out of the 9th grade, excuse me, 3 out of the 9th grade when they finished it. We finished with 15, but we had 16 on the roster. But anyway. So we're down on that. So that's where, anyway, of course, the September numbers will be the ones that count September 20th. I did post this on the school Facebook page here. Received a mailing last weeks before now. I'm sure it's obviously postmarked August 2nd. I don't think I probably opened it till last week, but inside it is a commencement program from the 4th commencement of Ness City High School, 1894. My math correct, that's a 129-year-old document. There was, according to the document, I'll pass it around, a lady in Dallas, Texas area found it in storage in her farmhouse. I'm guessing the way the letter, and I actually reached out to her on social media and was able to make contact through Facebook Messenger. Figured out who she was and stuff, but the letter's in there too, I believe, her letter. But neat story, I mean, but she knows there's a little connection to Kansas from her grandfather, but not in Ness City, Kansas. Served on the school board, maybe in her great grandfather, but you can see it in the letter somewhere else in Kansas, but there's no knowledge, no connection in Ness City, Kansas, but it's in remarkable shape. I'll pass it around. I guess be careful with it. I don't know unless you guys, I would like to obviously get it professionally somehow,
Yeah.
but I really think it maybe needs to go eventually to the Historical Society for display, but I think maybe if we get it professionally matted, framed, whatever, I don't know exactly. Somebody that knows what they're doing, because it needs to probably be sealed airtight, I'm guessing, so I don't know, I'm guessing that thing's been probably, it was in an envelope and probably stuck in a bunch of papers or books and whatnot in a box, so for 100 years. But anyway, just kind of neat, but as a picture of the original high school, that my understanding was where the tennis courts are today. That was built around 1890 or finished around 1890. Which makes sense if the first class would have been 1891. But I talked with some teachers about it, and Just, think about it, and the little card inside, I don't recognize that name, because it's not printed on the program anywhere. So I don't know if that was like the invitation, they had a show to get in, because it's invitation only, but that would have been horseback coming from Dallas. I mean, potentially if the person, if that's where they came from, and that's where obviously the card ended up at, who knows, it may have been packed in a box and moved, somebody here in Kansas and whatnot, but anyway, so I learned a little bit of something I didn't realize. The first class in Ness City High School was 1891, but that would have been according to that document.
Has Ness City
You know, the
never
oldest
used the name
pictures that
cards?
we have in the hallway is 1932. That would have been obviously before any type of photography.
Yeah, well, it just depends on which ones.
Okay, because that's what we used. in
Yeah.
high school, was just the name cards.
I think they've gotten away from those because they do different
They do their own
insights
pictures.
now, yeah.
You can look in that blue book and see the people that were in that class. There's a book out. You know what I'm talking about, that shows all the classes up till, I don't know, 12 or so. And I think it goes back to the very first.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Well, Nancy Faunensteel and Peggy and some of them put it.
them out around school settlers. didn't they?
Yeah, they put it out around the old
But
settlers, I
I think
think.
you're right, 2012 is the last year. that-
Yeah, 20,
It's like an old Bible.
Get in touch. But like I say, kind of a neat thing that just kind of surprised you when you open the mouth.
That must be the class motto.
The last thing that I have is just Hodgman County met with their board last Monday to visit about our potential softball agreement, and I know they're full go with it. Kind of where we're at right now. Their first time, I know they have interest of, I think around seven or eight girls that have expressed interest when they kind of did their role. There's the principal visited with some girls or whatever, put it out there, but for their first year, they would just, for the most part, just do everything with Ness City for the first year of our agreement. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draft up a draft agreement, go over all the points that the activity association wants us to go through, send it to them, let them kind of look it over. Basically, the one thing, I mean, it's so big for detail, what they kind of talked about, their all goes like bring it to Ness City for that first year, obviously the games be as Ness City. It would provide a coach because they're going to be paying somebody to drive from here anyway, and the principal's like, sure, they would like to find somebody that I think it would be know something about softball and coach and stuff like that. So anyway, so that's where I'm going to be at, start with that process. I won't say I haven't drafted anything up yet, but I'll draft it up and send it to them and let them look at it, kind of send it back. So, yeah.
So would we be classified as a combination of two schools, or would that be just us?
Yeah, we would be a 3A. I'll tell you right now, it'll even with our low numbers and whatever their numbers are, it would cause us to be above the 2-1A softball division. Because 2-1A and softball are together, they're already in the combined division, but I'm sure it'll push us to the 3A division for postseason. Doesn't change anything with our schedule. Our schedule's set. So and we got 3As on our schedule. We play Cimarron. We play the Satana, Sublette, Haskell County combination teams, a 3A team. I think the Buckland Coldwater, I think they make a 3A team because they do a combination too. Plainville, Stockton. I mean, I know we just call it, so it's not like we don't. There's lots of people like that, just like us, two small schools that go on for that. So, yeah, but that would happen.
How many of our girls are out for softball?
I would anticipate we started season with 10 when we had the two injuries and the one that when we had to cancel the season there, 8 games in, whatever it was, 9 games in. I would anticipate there only one was a senior. So 8 or 9. I mean, assuming the same ones go out. I don't know that, but assuming the same ones go out. So it would be probably equal numbers. But, you know, anytime with a cooperative, you do have to understand and go in there. There will be girls playing time misplaced by, you know, when you have more numbers out. Competition for playing time will become not an expectation, but they'd have to earn it. So, but I don't think we put a team together because we don't. This small freshman class incoming. Don't know if there'd be more than one, maybe two, possibly that might play, but I'm not sure they're even. You know, don't know about playing. I don't know that. They may go track too. You never know what they may not. I think the biggest obstacle is, you know, we have dual sport opportunity. I think it'd be important for Hawken County to build off of that too, but obviously they're traveling the day that they're involved in going to track practice or track meet will not be involved in softball, so we would have to work that at the stadium. And maybe they won't want to do that. I don't know. They obviously that'd be their board's decision on what they decide to do.
Do our girls, if they do dual sport, do they have to choose like a primary?
Yes. Yeah, that's
So
in our
they
policy.
pick what their primary,
Yeah, and I would encourage Hodgman to do the same thing, and I would gladly share our little dual sport policy that we developed years ago. For that, they would have to, and you know, that's before the first competition. Literally within the first week, so that needs to be declared what the primary is. Because by policy, if they, you know, anytime during that season, a dual sport athlete decides two sports is too much, the only one they can quit and still play is the secondary. That's the way we have it written up. They can't see all over. We're darn it, that sports, so I'll quit the primary. You know, you put down primary, you got it. That's the way. Trying to reinforce that to the kids that fill out dual sport.
Do you need board approval for that, or did we already okay
No,
that?
if I need it, yeah, I mean, I'm just want to start drafting a policy. I don't have a policy to bring, or a cooperative agreement to bring the G up, but I'm one of, that's what him and I kind of agreed on. He's like, I haven't done a cooperative agreement. I said, well, we've done it before for junior high. I said, I've got a template. I can quickly type one up, send it to him, and he can say, no, I don't like this or whatever. And we can maybe hash it out, you know, electronically first, and then we'll get together when we're ready to finalize something to take to our board. We have till January 1st, since it's a spring sport. Not that we're gonna put it off, or try to get it down here in September, but it may go to October before I come to approval with you. Before we have something, if we get hung up on something. But that's all I have. I just have those three things: the enrollment numbers, that mailing, and softball. Everything else is on the agenda.
Okay, Mr. Reinhardt.
Elementary enrollment as of today, preschool is full. We've got 36 kids in there. We leave 4 open slots for special ed kids that turn 3 throughout the course of the year. We have to kind of do that and leave spots open for them. But we are technically full with those 4 open slots that we know will fill throughout the year with kids coming to us from Arrowhead West. We have about 3 or 4 kids on a waiting list. Our preschool is very popular, even with out of district kids. Parents that want to bring their kids over are all the way from across. So it's something to celebrate the work that crew does in the preschool building. But 36 in preschool as of right now. We'll turn 40 throughout the school year. 18 kindergartners, 20 first graders, 12 second graders, 17 third graders, 14 fourth graders, 17 fifth graders, and 25 sixth graders. That gives us a K-6 enrollment of 123, which is 4 more than what we expected. So we grew there, but it's down to, we had 125 at this time last year. We had 4 that left the community. And didn't transfer to Sacred Heart or Western Plains, they moved. We had 1 new student from Western Plains, 3 new students move into town that will be joining us, and we had 4 new students transfer from Sacred Heart. Now, 3 of those 4 are the 6th graders that came over with them not having 6th grade anymore. So pretty stable, at least at the elementary enrollment wise, which is nice. Hopefully we'll start seeing a turn and do a little bit of an uptick over the next couple of years. Sent out a text about popsicles. We did popsicles from each teacher. I know Joby and Russell said that they'd help out. Anybody else want to sign up for the joy of handing out sticky popsicles when they come in and speak their teachers Wednesday night?
So where do we need to come and what time?
If you'll come to the main office, I believe we start. I don't want to tell you the wrong time.
5 to 6.
I think that's right. Yeah, 5 to 6. So 5 o'clock, just come to the main office and I'll have a table set down the hall, down by the classrooms. So everybody will have to walk past you and you can greet them. But yeah, come to the main office of the elementary school and I'll have popsicles for you to hand out. Anybody else who wants to help, you are welcome to join us. The other thing I want to share tonight, I went through this with the staff today. I don't want to go through all of it because we've talked about a lot of this stuff several times. KEIS is going to change. Our accreditation system, what we have to do for the state's going to change a little bit. And I just wanted to share kind of a quick update. They're going to move KEISA into 3 focus areas: the fundamentals, the process, and the outcomes. Standard alignment, which we've already done, math and ELA. There's some tweaks we need to make to it because we've changed resources. But then we need to start working on all other content areas. When I say other content areas, I'm not just talking social studies and science, but PE and art and music and industrial tech and BOE. All things that we teach have state standards tied to them. We need to go through and align and go through that process. So it's going to take some time to do that, but we need to ramp up. We started talking about doing that. We're moving into science and social studies. Then COVID hit, we just haven't gotten back to that. So that'll be something that we will be working on. Instructional monitoring tools, we use a walkthrough tool. And we did a much better job of doing that and providing feedbacks to the staff this year. We talked about the fact that this coming year, I'd like to bring teachers into that process too. So the teachers get to go see what's going on in another classroom, learn from what's going on in that classroom, help provide feedback to that teacher also. So we're working on increasing that. Structured literacy, we did purchase the new ELA curriculum, Solvis, here recently. So we've got a strong ELA curriculum. We also have our Pathways curriculum that fits into the science of reading. And as per state law right now, state rules, we've got to have our K-3 teachers fully letters trained. And we will have that accomplished by the end of the school year. Linda Tillotson did it this summer. And then Candace and Rebecca and Rachel and Jasa, Megan, Albers, and Ethel Randa will all be doing it throughout the course of the school year. But they'll be getting that science of reading and structured literacy training. They've all had some of that, and they've all been using Pathways, which falls in the science of reading. The last several, since I've been here, over 10 years. So that piece is in place. And then our balanced assessment. We talk about our fast bridge, our ready score, our state assessments. We can look at this every meeting and see where we're at, and that we're talking about that data. We've got to do a better job of utilizing that data. The process piece is our system level data analysis. We do that as a DLT. We share that with you guys. We share that with staff. One thing we need to do a better job is analyzing that data as an entire staff. And that's something that we're going to start doing at our January in-service meeting. Our student performance goals, the district leadership team created our KEISA goals. You guys approved those 3 years ago, or 2 years ago now. And so we got that in place. One place within this that we need to do a lot better job is stakeholder engagement. So outside of you as a board, we need to do a better job of trying to get our community involved in these conversations. We have a good supportive community. They do a lot for the school, but when it comes to getting them involved in conversations about academic improvement, and having conversations about the KISA process and accreditation, those type of things, we really struggle with getting them involved. So we want to work on doing that. One thing we did is I put a big 4-foot by 12-foot bulletin board down by the gym. I'm going to have a banner made that's got all of our KISA stuff in it, so it looks really nice. So it's there. We have good turnout at ball games and those type of things. That's when a lot of people are in our community, so we can start putting it in front of them to see. As we talk bond issue, it'll be a good way to bring some of those conversations into. So I know that once we start talking about those type of things, we'll have people energized and wanting to be a part of a meeting, and they'll have opinions for sure when it comes to those type of things. So hopefully we can meld some of this process into that. And then our outcomes, that would be the actual data, and what have you, and how those types to the state board outcomes. And within that, we have lead and lag measures. And just quickly, when we do assessments, there's really two types. There's a lag and a lead. So lag is any assessment we do at the end of instruction, gives us an idea of what the kids learned. There's very little we can do with that data, because we're getting a whole brand new group of kids coming into that teacher. It's data that could be used with the next preceding teacher. We work on that a little bit. Need to do a better job with that. And then your lead measures are your assessments that go on as you teach, as you have instruction. And so it would be progress monitoring. Your winter benchmarks in Fast Bridge and iReady are kind of a lead measure, because it gives you an idea of what your kids are learning as you're teaching. So those are the type of things that we have to have. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. This is all data that we have gotten through our walkthrough tool over the course of last year. We've got our information on our median scores for our state assessments that we shared with you, our Fast Bridge assessments that you've seen and see on the charts around you in the room. Our KCTC data, our chronic absenteeism that we've talked about, and then our post-secondary progress. Our two goals that we've discussed several times. And I can go through any of this and spend more time on it if you've got questions. The biggest piece I want to share with you moving forward. So the State Board of Ed last week voted to halt KISA for a year. One of my biggest complaints, I like the process, and if you do the process, it's a good process. But over the course of the last 6-7 years, it is like they are building the plane in mid-flight. And unfortunately, the plane constantly crashed doing that. So they would come up with, we're gonna change this and everything's gonna be fine. And they changed that and we'd be moving along. And then I was, well, we want to change this now. And they just kept changing things and made it very difficult for us to utilize the system they put us in place for us to improve our school. So it does make me happy they're putting a halt to it, but a couple of things. So this school year will be a learning year. We will continue collecting our data. We will continue meeting and learning and those type of things. We won't be putting information into the KISA database and those type of things, but we're going to learn what the new system is going to look like. One of the pieces of that is we will have, they have created regional groups. They put us in the Northwest Kansas group, and Amber Miller will be our KSDE rep, and she will actually be going to every single school district in the Northwest region and making sure they're doing what they're actually saying they're doing. So it's nice because there's going to be some teeth. And what I told the staff, one of the things that drives me nuts is we work hard at this. We've done that, and it's not just jumping through the hoops. We've tried to improve. We've worked on improving. We've tried to put things in place. Our staff has worked at it. There are some school districts out there that haven't maybe done much of anything. I know Tom's on an OBT team, outside visitation team for some school districts, and he can speak that, yeah, a couple of these districts haven't done much of anything at all. That's not fair to our staff that is working hard to do that, because KSDE, the state board, is saying you have to do this. and then you've got somebody else that's not doing anything, and really nothing's happening. So having a little bit of teeth. The nice thing for us is we've worked with Amber Miller for the last several years. She's been in our district. She knows what she's done, what we do. She has helped us move in the direction that we're moving. So it'll be nice to continue working with her and continue growing with her. So we will go as a district leadership team. We will go to meetings in Sublette on October 23rd and February 5th. And then we'll do a peer review with a couple other school districts about our size down in Sublette on April 12th. No more will we have a team actually come in that city. We will go and meet as a group of different school districts and talk about what we're doing, what they're doing, and seeing where everybody's at. We will find out more information at the KSD conference, October 25th through the 27th. They are still kind of outlining exactly what's going to happen and what's going to look like, but we'll get a fuller picture of what past this learning year will look like. What I have been told is essentially 24-25, we will start back up where we are right now. So we are technically in year 3 of cycle 2 of the accreditation process. We will pick up from there. Now, one of the things they told me at the State Department was, KISA has been a 5-year process. It's really going to come down to the school district of whether it's a 5-year process, a 3-year process, a yearly process. So, your school districts that are really struggling, it may be in every year that you've got to put these things to do to say that you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing. For the school districts that, by all realms of explanation, look like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. It may be a 5-year process. It may be a 6-year process where they come in and check in. So it's going to be somewhat differentiated in the sense of the individual school district, which will also be nice too. But just wanted to give you a quick overview that a lot of that's changing. Like I said, I shared with the staff today and had a good conversation about that process. And that's all I got.
Any questions for Mr. Reinhardt? 5-3, board subcommittee. Got anything to report? Anybody?
I've got on my calendar to create a meeting sometime in September. That gives us time to get the year started, and then maybe October, have a report somewhere in there. That still is what we want to do.
I think it's a good way for us to talk to the teachers. I don't know that anybody has come to me with anything, but I still think it's a good idea.
It's usually a good conversation.
I think sometimes it just helps them to know that, like, we are engaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we do care, we are paying attention. And sometimes it gives us a chance to tell them, like, I know you don't like that, but there's nothing that can be done about it. And I mean, Derek probably has to tell them that a lot, but at least it gives them a chance to hear it from somebody else, And then sometimes there's things that come out of it that maybe we can do something about.
Well, okay then. Well, we'll move on then to 7.1, budget review.
Next month, we will have our budget hearing and approve the budget for the year. What I kind of need from you, Susie, and I need from you is some input of what you want that budget to look like. You have this setting in front of you. I've got notes on there. But what I had Susie do is go through and kind of work out what things kind of look like. So the first thing on there the first column is what last year was. So your general fund, you have no control over, it's 20 mils. Last year's supplemental general was 16.478, capital was 8, and then below that is what those funds brought in, right? If we kept a similar, and it's difficult within the budget software to get the exact same mill levy number. So what Susie did was she got as close as she could. So if we kept a similar mill levy for LOB, you're looking at bringing in 766,614 versus last year's 731,112. If you went with a revenue neutral rate, the revenue neutral levy rate would be 15.765 mils and would bring in roughly the same amount of money as last year. Our max budget, your max authority as a board would allow for a 17.775 mil levy for our supplemental general and would bring in 827,246,000 in the supplemental general LOB. Just to give you an idea of the breadth of where you're at. Max authority would bring in just under $100,000 more than what we had last year, 96,000. If we went with the revenue neutral rate, we're leaving about $94,000 on the table of budget authority. If we go with the same mill rate, we're leaving just over $60,000 on the table, but it would bring in $35,000 more than last year. One of my concerns is cost of things have increased. It's getting harder and harder to pay the bills. We are in good financial shape. We have carryover money in our accounts. It's not that we're in dire straits, but I think it's also important to understand that what you have for authority and some of the things that we've talked about that we need to do, whether it's with building facilities or if it's personnel or some of those type of things, where you're kind of setting with what you have the ability to do as a board. Essentially what Susie and I need is a little bit of conversation, a little bit of consensus from you of what you want the budget to be for next month, so that we can quickly have that conversation and approve it and move forward. And really what it comes down to is what you're comfortable with mill levy rate wise with the supplemental general. I'm going to make the assumption that we want to keep the mill levy at 8 for capital because of where we are at with our facilities. That doesn't change the mill rate. It does bring in a little bit more money for us simply because of our assessed valuation inching back up with better oil prices.
My preference would probably be the second column or even split the difference between the second, third, 16 mil levy. That'd be my preference.
So to give you an idea, 16 mils would bring in about $745,000. So you'll bring in $14,000-15,000 more than you did last year. That's 16 mils.
How much more?
So somewhere between 14 and 15.
There it is.
1,000. 16 mils would.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I say we need to go for the full amount.
Max.
Yep. And the reason I say that is you got a 2-page document here in front of you of what you want the bond issue to look like. If this bond issue doesn't go through, where are we gonna come up with the money to do these things? So I would be in favor of the column on the end, the max 17.775.
I myself am more with Russell between the same or 16. And my thought is, I see the bond issue, but if we raise that to 17.7, the bond's going to get voted down because they're saying you're already taking the max out of me right now. Why do I need to support you?
I would agree with you fully, Jason.
That's very true. I mean, that's very true. That's very true. But on the other hand, I can hear him say, well, you had a chance to go after some more money. Why didn't you do it?
I don't think most people know that much about it to know that.
I think you say that max, if the bond don't go, then next go around, it's gonna be the max because it's time to get something done.
And maybe I'm misreading something, but to go for like the second column, like if we were to go for the fourth column and max them out, it's only 60,000. So to me, like, it's worth it not to make people mad at us for 60,000.
Yeah, the difference between if you leave the mill levy about where it's at,
Right.
where it was last year, so you don't change it, versus what your max authority is, that difference is about $60,000.
Do we have to pass something tonight?
No, I just
Okay.
kind of want more of a consensus, so
Okay.
what I don't want is a big fight and then we have to republish and those type of things. So, and you know, we're having the conversation, we'll have the conversation again. But if we kind of know where you guys are comfortable, we can build the budget, we can publish it that way. And then it makes it easier when it comes to actual budget here. Not that it couldn't change, but if we publish a budget and you decide, no, let's go after more money, then we've got to republish. So it's correct. If you come in and say, now let's go lower, we don't necessarily have to republish. But the way we've always kind of done it since I've been here is have this conversation, then we build a budget for you, and then you guys approve it. So
I'm thinking the same. And we can build the budget and bring it to the budget hearing. And if you guys say, change your mind, say, no, we want to go back to the revenue neutral rate. That's okay.
I would lean towards leaving it the same. Inflation has hit our school. Their stuff needs fixed.
I do think it seems kind of silly to lower it and say, oh, but we lowered it, but here's a bond issue. What do you guys think of this? I mean, I guess I would be in favor of leaving it the same.
Yeah, that's what I would prefer to do.
Is that the second column?
yes,
Russell wanted to do a compromise between the second and third column.
I said I was good with the second column.
Oh, you're good with that column. Okay.
Yeah, or split the
16.
difference.
Or split the difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere between 16 and 16,417.
I didn't hear the or.
Yeah.
Okay.
so we kind of have a consensus. We'll try to keep it about the same mill levy from last year. Okay.
Okay, set R&R hearing and budget hearing.
So this will all be done before the September meeting. So September 11th, you need to be here at 6:45. We'll have the revenue neutral hearing rate where you'll approve that we'll go above our revenue neutral on our budget, and 6:50 we'll have the budget hearing and we'll approve the budget. And then at 7 we'll roll into our meeting, regular meeting, if that is okay with you. And we do need a motion and a second and a vote for that.
So move to have those hearings at those set times.
Second,
All in favor?
We get a complimentary text message that we have a.
I will try. I will try to remember that.
Do we get a complimentary snack?
I'll swing by Fish Creek right there.
Okay, 7.3, tour facilities and address the needs, set a special meeting.
So we kind of talked, and we can go tour tonight if you really wanted to. My thought is it's going to take some time for you to see everything. And Jovi showed, pulled out that list of stuff. and I want to kind of talk about that a little bit too with this process. That is not an all-inclusive list. That is me going, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know that. And I created multiple page document, and then I went in and I kind of spread them out over what you guys kind of said, what is we have to do, what is we need to do, and then if we're gonna do stuff, why don't we do this too? Type of mentality. To me, it makes a lot more sense to have a special meeting, especially a meeting that would work to where Wes could be here too. So he can show you some of the things that he's dealing with, and we can walk through and spend a lot of time really looking at and talking about things and things that you can't see because it's covered up with carpet or tile. But you notice because the doors won't shut right. You know, looking in the depths and bowels of the buildings and realizing what's truly there. For example, I was kind of blown away. Our elementary boiler was purchased in 2002. So it's not very old. Which really made me mad as we went back and looked at it that, you know, and we know this, the newer things are, they just don't last like they used to. But the boiler that we're looking at needing to really replace is only 21, 22 years old. But getting a better feel for what's there, some of the things that we need to do, you know, the coping on the grade school, going in and realizing that a lot of the concrete and masonry work between the limestone blocks is falling out, and that's just going to start crumbling and needing to go in and replace all of that so our building doesn't fall down, little things like that. So it doesn't matter to me timing wise, but I would say we're a lot better off if we set a actual special meeting and do that walkthrough and have that conversation.
I would make a motion to set a special meeting for a tour of the facilities.
We have a date, time, what type of time of day works for you guys?
Is it better for it not to be dark out? I mean, it's gonna start getting dark
Probably
earlier.
because there's some things outside that we need to see.
And it's gonna start coming. Still a little bit of time before it starts early, but you're speaking that direction.
Next Monday, was there something on the school schedule? Was there some
We got a
kind
high
of,
school jamboree volleyball. That was, okay, the jamborees. Team sports. Full scrimmage with other teams here.
And they'll be using the high school gym that night. Afternoon.
Just high school gym, yeah.
Okay.
what's on the Tuesday after that?
The Tuesday is nothing. They'll have the band instrument display, so you'll have some people in the band room going in and purchasing, you know, like your fifth graders purchasing instruments, anybody else is performing an instrument, getting an instrument. We could stay out of the way of that.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Actually, I think, talking to her today, she's going to do that at the high school.
Mhm.
because we're limited on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday, what is that, 30th?
22nd.
22nd. Tuesday, 22nd, what, is 7 about as early as people want to get going on that, or?
Don't matter, to me. I'm out of town Sunday through Thursday of next week.
Well, you're not helping us.
No, I'm not. The next 3 weeks for me, I'm gonna be in and out of state and out of town. It's gonna be, unless you do it on a Saturday.
That hurts just for you even to mention that. Wow.
It's an option.
Well, that would be one thing. Do we want to accommodate Jason?
You don't have
Fill
to
'em in
accommodate me by
later.
no means.
I know that. You know, we just want to make sure everybody else will be on okay to cut Jason out and just give him a nice text about what we did. And then the
It'll work for
7
me.
gonna be early enough then?
I couldn't do it from 5 to 6 because the library's open till
Okay.
9 and that's when Lori does on her supper break, but after 6 I could do it.
You'll start at 7 or 6.
I'd be fine starting at 7 as long as we got enough time to see, as long as we got enough daylight to do it.
I'm all right, 6 too.
Okay,
That way we're,
But you
in
can't.
case it goes a little bit.
No,
long.
I can do 6 o'clock or later. I can't do from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Next, on Tuesdays, I'm not available, but after 6 is fine.
We want
6
to do
only.
6 to make sure we got daylight.
So the 22nd at 6.
Would you mind, that fine, Joby, would you mind adding that on your motion?
I just want to make sure Wes is going to be
Oh, okay.
available, but
Is there any reason that we need to do it yet in August? I mean, could we do it into September?
so to give you an idea, if we're going to truly look at a November 5th, 2024 vote for bond issue. And so, and I throw that date out, there's no way we can get this accomplished by this next election. So your next public election would be November 5th, 2024 election, which would be the presidential election, which you should have pretty high turnout, which I think probably helps us versus harms us in this community. Over the next 2 or 3 months, we need to probably get staff members involved and you involved in deciding what it is we want to do and finding the areas that we want to work with. Probably by November 1st, we need to have some sort of committee put together with stakeholders that include community members to have a further conversation about that and kind of narrow down what it is we want to accomplish. By January, we probably need to approve hiring a architectural firm. So we would let bids for that process in January and then hire the firm in February. For those of you that haven't gone through that process, most of your architectural firms that work with schools through this process don't charge you anything for that until the bond passes. But you basically hire the architectural and engineering firms that you're going to work with for the process. They go through and they work in generalities on this is what, if we did this, this is what it's going to cost. And they work out your cost analysis and all of that for you in generalities. If then you vote to go ahead and move forward with the bond passes, then everything gets sent to bid and we get a more accurate number. So there's some danger in the process because, you could go and pass a bond, it passes on November 5th of 2024, and then you let bids that next board meeting in November. And by then, if prices of things have gone up, the cost of your bond has gone up, but your voters have approved it. So it's kind of that process, but that gives you an idea. So January, February, you get your architects involved, they come through, you have several meetings through that process, meeting with your stakeholders. We want to make this adjustment because we really want to do this, but it's really going to be too expensive. It's a want list versus a need list item, it's not going to cost as much as what we thought it might, so let's add this to it too, and do some of those calculations and anything. And then either at the May or June meeting, you as a board need to approve the bond issue. If the bond issue exceeds 14% of our assessed value, it must be approved by the State Board of Ed. So you approve it in May, June. Once you approve it, we send it to the state board. They will approve it at the July, August meeting of the state board. And then once it's approved by the state board, then we work until November 5th to get people to get out and vote and support the bond issue. To give you an idea of how that all plays out over the course of basically a year. So would we have to meet next week? No, but I don't know that we want to push it off past our next past the September board meeting.
Can I speak here?
Yes, he can be here.
I will
He
move
doesn't sound
to,
like he wants to be, but he will.
I will move to amend my, my motion to include the date of August the 22nd at 6 PM to tour the facilities.
Second,
Got a motion and a second for the tour of the facilities. All in favor? Okay, 7.4 bond issue discussions.
I kind of went through everything real quick already, gave you a breakdown of what it's going to look like in the process. I gave you a list of what I've compiled up to this point, not all inclusive. These are my own personal thoughts. I haven't really even sat down with Wes and gone through this. A lot of this is stuff that Wes and I talk about on a regular basis, but it kind of gives you an idea of a multitude of things that need to be addressed. You've got a priority list that if we don't pass a bond, this is a part of the list that we probably need to start. Okay, we're going to set aside this amount of money. We're going to do it. And we're going to get a lease purchase and do. The need list is just some things that should be done if we're going to do some major improvements. And then the want list is more of if we're going to, like, one of the things that we really need to look at is locker rooms. We've got to do something with our locker rooms. In my mind, an example of that would be we would build 2 locker rooms to the south of the gym. That would be your priority list. So you'd have a boys' locker room and a girls' locker room for our kids, and we would maintain the current locker rooms for visitors and extra whatever. The next level of that would be maybe 4 locker rooms. So we build 2 to the south, 2 to the east, and have a hallway that kind of goes through there. So you'd have a junior high boys, a junior high girls, a high school boys, high school girls locker room. The want list on the corner of that, we'd put a weight room. That's kind of how I worked through it in my mind. And what that allows us to do is to get the weight room out of the WAG building, out of the way of everything, brings it into the building. So we're not going outside of the building to use the weight room. We make a nice facility that the community can also use. And it wouldn't be a bad idea for at some point in time, maybe go over and look at what Dighton did with their bond issue and how they built a weight room that the community is able to use and what it looks like and how nice it is.
What did they end up doing with the old weight area in the gym? Is it just open space? Isn't that Dayton that has theirs up above?
They have seating up there.
Who was that? Was it
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse has it that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just in the gym.
Yeah.
So open weight room.
Yeah, and I don't know what Dayton had for a weight room prior to what they did.
Okay.
But that gives you an idea of how I kind of work through the process between priority, need, and want. And as you go through that, the track's a prime example. We did the work on the track, but we really need to do a structural spray and a leveling layer to it to finish that project. A want would be to tear it out and put an 8-lane track in and make it all look good and nice and right out there. That's $1 million alone by itself. That's a big one. And it's probably something that we're not necessarily looking at. But to give you an idea of the process I've gone through up to this point, and also give you some things to look at as we walk through the buildings and add to the list.
The Tribune do a bond issue for the track.
I don't think so. A lot of the new tracks that you've seen over the course of the last year out this direction, a lot of it is windmill money. Part of it is they got in before prices skyrocketed. We could have, 6-7 years ago, we probably could have done an 8-lane track for $500,000 and had a really nice facility out there. At that time, we were starting to see some issues with ours, but it wasn't a big issue yet. So do you spend that money before then? And that's one of the things I'd like to do a better job of, is trying to catch some of this stuff before it becomes a big issue and start working on it. But it keeps on compounding itself at some level.
Do they maintain their enrollment?
Tribune? No, they've dropped worse than we have, I think.
That's why I mean, our sport, tracking. Anyway,
But they got jackrabbits. So any more discussion on the prioritizing of the bond issue? And I suppose after the walk around, it may add, may take away. All right, moving on, 7.5, the high school boiler repair.
Finally got a bid from P1 on that. It was $15,686 to get it up and running and working properly. I'd like for you to approve that, and then we can have them repair both boilers as they come out.
Motion that we approve this bid. Who was it from?
P1.
From P1.
I'd second that motion.
Have a motion and a second to approve the bid for P1. All in favor? All opposed. Approve safe and secure school grant and design use.
So we received $4,086 in safe and secure grant money. I applied for 65,000. We got 4. We have to match that. So we've got 81.72 that we need to spend if you approve the grant. I have applied, or with approval, we'll apply 3,057.62 to the South Door card swipe system that we've already put in. That leaves $5,114 that we need to spend. I went through, you have in front of you kind of an updated SEPTED list that Tanya and the crisis team has talked to you about before. This one here. Give you an idea, these would all fall under that safe and secure money, ways to make the building safe. Give you an idea of what some of those costs are. The ones with question marks out are educated guesses of what some of that stuff would cost. The other ones are basically going in and purchasing things that I know what costs are, buying them off of Amazon or whatever. Those costs doesn't include odds and end materials to put up a sign like screws. Doesn't include the money we pay Wes his hourly wage to do, or Gary or whoever else puts the stuff up or installs the stuff. I can kind of give you an idea. If we solely use that safe and secure money for this list, there's about $1,600 in small ticket items at the elementary school. So you take the playground cameras, which is one thing I'd really like us to do. The speaker system off of there, which will be a big ticket purchase. And so there's about $1,600 that we could apply to that 5,000, and there's about $7,000 to the high school we can apply to that 5,000. The one-way film, what I have been able to ascertain to put that one-way film, the 3M bulletproof type of film, just the high school alone is probably going to be $14,000. So while it would be nice to do some of those type of things, the cost to do that, we can't do it. So I think to give you an idea there, that putting bollards in those areas to basically stop a vehicle from driving through the main entrances of the high school, you've got about $4,900 in materials there. We wouldn't have to do all of those. We could do some of those. But looking for approval of the grant, and then some insight into how you want me to spend that money.
How much is it gonna cost to do the high school keypad thing, the swipe thing?
at the gym.
like the buzzing system is what you're talking about.
No, like the swipe thing for the kids with the cards.
That's, we put in the card swipe for the south entrance. We already did that.
Oh, okay.
And that was $3,100. Now that's just staff. We don't give the kids key cards to get in and out. That's just for staff. But we can control that door, so she can tell, she can go in and control it to say it's unlocked from this time to this time. But that's actually done. We have done that, and we paid that bill or in the process of paying that bill, but we can apply that to this grant.
Do you feel like it would be more beneficial to do the elementary school or the high school, or do a split of the two?
I would say if we're gonna look at this list, probably split it out. I would say probably look at doing the small ticket items around the $1,600 for the elementary school, and probably drop the bullards, you know, the big metal stakes we put in the ground so you can't drive a car through the entrance at the library, back behind the cafeteria, so you can't drive all the way into the building back there in the cafeteria. If we drop off and not do as much there, we could probably do all the small ticket items that I've got listed here with that grant money.
Well, I would make a motion to do that. That would take off a lot of these items.
Them boards in the front of the school, can't you do that in the summertime? I mean, are they pre-made?
The $4,900 ones, the ones that I found would be removable. So if we needed to get a vehicle through, we could. So basically, we cut a square out of the sidewalk.
I get it, but I was trying to think, why would it need to be removable?
More so for delivery. Wouldn't necessarily have to be, but to me, it's nice to be able to move them if we need to get a truck in, or snow removal, or need to get a bigger piece of equipment in closer to the building, like a telehandler or something like that, into a certain spot. It would be nice to be able to remove. Depending on how you set it up, maybe it's just one you take out versus being able to remove all of them.
So do you unscrew it out of the ground?
So the ones that I have found, there's a sleeve that you set into the concrete, and then the post goes into the sleeve, and it locks in. So with a padlock. So you got to have a key and everything to pull it out, and then there's a flap that covers it when the post isn't in there.
They're $4,900 a piece, or for the set?
No, that would, basically the 4,900 would put 2 on the south entrance, 2 in the cafeteria, and 3 by the main entrance of the high school. I don't know that we would need 3. We might need 2 at the main entrance, probably 2 back at the cafeteria, because we kind of started the process back there more so to keep people off the drainage back there. We keep messing up the drain covers. 2 back there, and it may just take 1 at the south entrance.
Well, I'm just bringing it up because I just think it's an astronomical price for that. And I'm thinking of industry I'm in. We have all kinds of pipe and stuff, and I guarantee it'd get donated, and probably cut that down to like $9.
When we started the ones behind
Let's go with
behind the
Jason.
cafeteria, that's what we were gonna do. Because Wes and I were just gonna
You know,
build them, and
With us, a lot of
Be done
stuff
with it.
we use is off old drill pipe.
Mhm.
You take the pin off one end, put that at flush level, then the other one screws in there. Then you need to remove it, unscrew it.
Okay.
And we only have like 4,000 foot of junk drill pipe.
some of us need that for corrals though. So
That's that crap that weighs like 47 pounds a foot. It's
Mhm.
hard to move.
But no, and that's what I would say is there's probably some better ways or cheaper ways to do that would work for us.
Well, that just caught my eye here. So that there is alternatives, I think.
But I would say that if we're looking at it, the $4,900 doesn't get done. If we're looking at this, if we do the small ticket items at the elementary school and we do the small ticket items at the high school, that 4,900 comes off of that $7,000. And we can.
Do we not have an intercom system at the grade school then?
We do, it's just not, it solely goes over the phones. So if you're doing anything at all in the classrooms, it's hard to hear. If you're out in the hallways, it's great because there's speakers out in the hallways. But to hear it in the classrooms, if your classroom door is shut and there's any noise at all in the elementary, it is almost nearly impossible to hear the intercom.
Who designed that?
Huh?
Who designed that?
Well, when the initial intercom system went out in the elementary school, it was cheaper for us to completely replace the phone system at the time than to replace just the little box we needed for the intercom system. And we needed a new phone system. So we went ahead and did that and tied it all into the intercom system. And we just need to go in and put speakers in every classroom. Well, the dollar amount's high because if you start thinking about it, the number of spaces you need a speaker, it's like 23 or 4 spots. Well, probably $500 a piece by the time you pay for the speaker and Golden Belt to come in and install it and hook everything up. You know, probably $500 a piece. It gets pretty pricey pretty quick.
Get some of those hand-me-down radios from the fire department. Just put one of them in each room. Because I think those cost a pretty penny. Replaced a lot.
I would make a motion to do the small ticket items for the total of the $7,085 listed for both the elementary school and the high school. Take off the high ticket items and just do the small ticket items for both schools.
Second.
Got a motion, the second, all in favor? Approved MHIT grant.
So this is your mental health grant. This is done through the state of Kansas. We have been approved for $56,191. $42,143 will be used to pay Jeff Gershenhorn's salary and materials that he needs. $14,000 goes to High Plains Mental Health to provide additional services at the school and in our community.
Move to approve.
I would second that.
Motion and a second to approve the grant, all in favor? Approved FFA grant.
This is a $2,143 grant that Ashley applied for and received. If you remember here, I think back in May, she came and talked to you about outdoor learning space and garden and chicken coops and rabbit coops and those type of things. At the time, she applied through the state of Kansas's FFA program for a grant and received $2,143 to put towards that. I talked to her last week. She was going to try to make it to a city council meeting to make sure that we don't run foul of them of putting a fence up close to the street. And once she has that approval, we will start working on that progress.
How much was it?
Huh?
How much was
The
it?
grant itself was $2,143. That won't pay for everything that we're gonna plan on doing out there, but that's another place where I'm gonna go hit up Jason for oil field pipe versus buying a whole bunch of wood posts and those type of things. Had a good long conversation with Ashley about doing it right. So it's done well, it stands up, holds up and lasts.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Review and approve the safe reopening plan.
So I really didn't even want to have this conversation because I thought we were done with all this, but we were told at our budget hearing that this needs to be approved every 6 months. Last time it was approved was in June of 21. I went through and made changes to it, made it more fit what we do now. I'm hoping that this is the last time that we have to do anything with it. But it needs to be approved. If there are things that you want changed to it, we can make those changes now. Then it needs to be approved and put on our website.
Is that this paper?
Yes, that is the other document that you have.
What happens if we don't put it on?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say nothing.
Will the
That-
FBI come? Visit us?
I don't know about the FBI. I don't know if KDH would. FDC might, just to make a mockery of us or whatever. But this goes back to ESSER dollars and COVID. I don't remember them, and I'm pretty sure every single school district is probably in the same boat with this. I don't remember them ever telling us we had to reapprove this every 6 months.
Well, let's reapprove it, just don't put it on the website, just say that. Oh, I forgot.
The problem is, the one that's on the website's an old one, and you don't want that one on there.
Do that.
Make a motion to approve. 7.9.
Well, I'll second that. Mr. Bryant stays out of the education jail. All in favor? All opposed?
I feel the exact same way.
Approve out of district students.
I recommend you approve everybody that we've got tonight. There are no real surprises. Most of our out-of-district kids are kids that were enrolled last year. As of right now, everybody that has come through has met the new open enrollment policy that you approved last month.
So there's space.
Yes. Unless you had a new one that I'm not aware of.
Well, I thought with the new thing that came down from the legislature that we basically don't have out-of-district students anymore, that anybody can come in that wants to.
Yes, and it's based off of space. So we approved that policy last month of the process they have to go through and the things they have to meet. We have some authority. Well, I just got kicked out of school. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're causing problems, then we don't necessarily have to take it. And we built that into our policy.
She's on my roster anyway.
This was 7. How many they got left?
I would say we have more than they do.
I moved to approve out of district students.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the out of district students. All in favor? Approve the 23-24 class schedule.
This is yours, Tom.
Yeah, I don't think anything changed since July. So. when- July, that's. So we're
Sorry.
You don't approve it. I don't know what we're going through.
Say, I make a motion to approve. Second. Got a motion, a second, to approve the class schedule. All in favor? Approve use of square for concession stand purchases.
Oh, it looks like they closed that tab. I went through and I've been looking, trying to figure out ways to improve our accounting and everything with the concession stand, and also find ways that people could use a credit card, debit card at concession stand. So I built a Square portal.
I have that, so.
You have to pay a monthly fee.
Not a monthly
Nope.
fee, but there is a percentage of each sale that goes to Square.
What's their percentage?
Like two.
Two or
2.5.
three, so it's not that much. And they also have their own savings, their own account, so once Is that how you set it
Yeah,
up? 'Cause
so what
once you
we would
use it,
do
it goes
is-
to their account, then you can transfer it out of there, or you can leave it into that account. My theory was use it here, and this is what I buy my supplies out of, instead of transferring money back. and forth. But they have a free checking savings account you can use there. They send you a debit card for that account.
What we would do is not after every transaction, or maybe not even after every single date. But we would have them automatically transfer it at no fee into our current accounts. So we're not creating a new account. The way it comes in is it comes in as a square payment. So every single pop that isn't sold, she's not gonna have to deal with on the accounting side. It's gonna come in, you made $500 in sales at this event, that $500 comes into our account. It allows us to got it set up to where it
I take it this is so a person can come to a basketball game, buy two cheeseburgers and 2 pops and pay for it with credit card.
Yeah, that's
Mine
what
just
allows it to
plugs
do.
into like where you charge your phone, you just swipe a card.
Yeah.
That's
I've got it set up on an iPad, so you'd have the cashier sitting there, they'd come up, I want this, this, and this, you click the buttons, gives you what the price is, they can pay cash, and hand you cash, or you can swipe the card, takes the payment, and it's said and done. Helps us, it'll help us with inventory a lot better, especially with pop. Pepsi is not real nice. Sometimes they'll send us stuff that will go out of date in 2 weeks. So by doing it this way, we can limit our order a little bit better, so we're not throwing away pop. It goes out of date. Gives us a better idea of what's selling, what's not selling, so we're not maybe ordering a whole bunch of extra stuff that's not selling. Give us a little bit better control over some of those type of things too.
So we still buy it wherever we want.
Mhm.
This is just a better way to
Yeah,
track,
this is
track the
just
sales of it.
Yeah, this is a point of sales
Oh,
system is what it is.
And this is just for the concession stand?
We wouldn't change so we can take credit cards for like any other payments at the school. And we want to keep that system because the percentage they pay for that is a lot lower. We can't use that system for concession stand. It's too clunky and cumbersome. This is really easy to use.
One thing that I might just throw out there, and having set at the gate for basketball games. Normally, if it's people here in town, it's not that big a deal. But I have seen where people come from out of town and it's a family of mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, and maybe a couple of little kids. It's a $40 or $45 entry to get into the basketball games. I'm just throwing it out there. Would that be too hard to implement?
No, implementation would not be hard. It would be a similar system what we used for fireworks at Rotary.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
You know, the biggest thing would be kind of the startup cost. So I've got an iPad that we already own that I can use for the concession stand. We would buy Jason has something that plugs into his phone. We'd buy an actual stand so it's more stable and don't have to worry about losing it. And it's, I think, about $149. So if we wanted to use it for at the table for games and stuff, we would have that cost involved in it. I think you're going to see more and more people not carrying cash. So the more you can take that credit card, the more chances you're going to get that money versus not getting it. Or
Well, I mean,
someone writing a check and it
like
being back.
now, most people bring enough cash, but I noticed, I mean, it does add up when you have a whole family that comes to
Mhm.
watch their kids play. It does add up, and maybe that would be something that we could do that started. I don't
I mean, if we really want to get, the Activity Association pushes GoFan, it's a digital ticket where they can purchase their tickets
There you
with their
go.
credit card on their phone, and then basically you barcode them as they come in.
And we could do something like that.
That's
too.
a
That
lot-
might be
there's a
little
lot of
easier.
state- They haven't completely implemented it at all levels yet. I bet they did it cross country last year, Lori. Was that not a digital ticket? I think, I can't remember.
think so.
I think you had to
think so.
pre-purchase it or something,
Mhm.
I think so.
but it's called GoFam. I've looked at it, but I don't, I've been not enough to.
I just wanted to throw that out
Yeah,
there.
no, I agree. I agree. I hardly carry cash with me.
And so your square is inventory related too.
Mhm.
So if I vote for this,
Yeah, I think so.
We will
We'll
do
not run
every-
out.
we'll do everything we can to make sure there's Dr. Pepper.
I didn't. think of it about that. A lot of kids, and she was like, let's go through it. I mean, it's gonna stay traffic.
I would make a motion to approve 7.12, approve the use of a square for concession stand purchases and or
I'll-
gate sales.
Tom and I will look into what Keisha's got out there and see if that isn't a good resource.
I'd second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the square, all in favor? Executive session.
I don't have one. I have no
No.
reason. for one.
Yeehaw.
Before he changes his mind, let's roll into 13.13.
I would move to accept resignations and approve the hiring.
Second,
Got a motion and a second to approve the resignations and the hirings, all in favor? 7.14, approve sixth grade participation in volleyball.
So moved.
second,
All in favor? You're opposed, Joby's opposed on that volleyball.
To adjourn.
second.
I'm not even gonna bring it up. I mean, look at the time. I'll just drag this
I
out.
was full expecting to get out early.
Okay, all in favor?
Drag it out.
All right, Russell, keep you happy. I'll go ahead.